Welcome to the Introduction to the Holistic EFT online certification course with Drs. Philip and Jane Montrose. That's me and Jane.
And me.
And
Hi,
that's
everybody.
Jane, my wife and partner. And we've been doing this for decades now, offering this certification course since 2004, over 15 years now. So we know that people like it. It works. It's something that that seems to be very user-friendly, and there's a little testimony I'll just start out with, because it kind of opens you up to what this training offers people, and maybe yourself watching this overview webinar. So Carolyn Garner wrote into us, I was introduced to EFT tapping at the telesummits, which was a good basic introduction, but I wanted to go further. I'm so glad I took the Awakenings Holistic EFT certification course, since it took me so much deeper. I now feel well-rounded, competent, and confident. I really know how to use EFT to work with the subconscious at a deeper level and clear what is really needed. And that brings us to who takes this course. There are people from all walks of life. Many are holistic practitioners. Some are in the health field, nurses, or other even business people, all kinds of people. Some people for spiritual and personal growth want to learn the healing techniques, and we do have a spiritual focus, as we'll talk about, to it. And some of the people are more like social workers, therapists, and such. And here's another quote that I thought was relevant of a lady who took our course. And we get a lot of feedback because people write as part of the training, like what they got out of the course and the learning and the results. So we get a lot of updates. So we're always updating the course and getting that input, but we also get a lot of good feedback, like this therapist who's, in this case, from the Netherlands. She said, up until now, as a therapist, I read the energetic body systems and used different tools to open blocks within the system. Most of the clients cannot consciously keep up with the process I work with, so they just relax, surrender, and allow healing to happen. But with EFT, I see them becoming responsible for their own thinking, and together we transform the energy, and they're amazed at the results. And she also adds that she was trained in normal standard EFT, we'll call it. EFT is pretty amazing as an energy technique, but we differentiate ours, holistic EFT, from, quote, normal standard EFT, as she said.
Normal.
In 2013, she was originally trained, and many people take our trainings who were trained by Gary Craig and other people, and this is the kind of remarks we get after they take our training. In addition to previous training, she said, but this holistic EFT is a better way for me. When I read the book, it felt like I wrote the book myself. So holistic EFT sings to my soul. Thank you for bringing EFT into a structure like this. So it gives you structure. It's for people who are just starting out, learning the basics and wanting to go deeper. And people actually have had a lot of training. Jane, did you want to add to any of that?
Yeah, I think it for us, it's more, we're on a mission. We have a nonprofit organization that we co-direct, and we have a large goal of creating a more loving world. And in a more at an individual level, a goal of helping people to create lives that exceed the ordinary. In other words, that are more joyful, more prosperous, more fulfilling. And so it's not just like, I want to get rid of this pain and then it's done. For us, it's like when the pain is gone, that's where you start to really get to the interesting part too. So it does, as people suggested in the comments Philip mentioned, it does tend to go deeper, and that is our intention.
Right. And I just want to tell you a little bit about us, because you might be wondering that, like, who are these people? Why are they offering the training? We have 3 decades of experience in the field of holistic healing and coaching. We published over 15 books and manuals on personal and spiritual growth, so we're good at communicating. We know how to write these things so people understand it. We have a very extensive website, if you haven't seen it, at gettingthrough.org. We actually started it in 1999. We're co-founders and directors of Awakenings Institute, a nonprofit organization devoted to making the world a more healthy, healing, nurturing place. we've created dozens of innovative techniques and approaches to coaching and healing, including GTT, the getting through techniques, and EFT techniques, some of which we will tell you about. Jane, did you want to add anything to that?
No, that sounds pretty good as an overview.
All right, so let's move on here to some of the top reasons, the 2 top reasons why people get certified from
Right.
Awakening's holistic EFT courses.
Right, and as Philip suggested, of course, the one of the first one is the quality of the training, and as he mentioned, we have a lot of experience, and also as he mentioned, EFT, the basic EFT is pretty simple, and it works quite well in many cases, but what people find also, it's not a magic pill that works just on everything without any awareness. And that's where the skill comes in for people who want to actually practice more professionally or add it as skills to something else that they're doing professionally. The thing that's most often needed actually when EFT is not working, other than just not setting it up properly, which we obviously do, is that often more awareness is needed in the client. And it actually is, that is the best part, is when the blessings that we are and the blessings that we bring come out, and when the wonderful opportunities that we have come out. So we're really happy with that part of it. And just in terms of the holistic techniques, one of the things that we've added an element to the basic EFT tapping is something we call the reset process, which takes the whole thing deeper. So every time you do holistic EFT, you're taking it deeper. It creates more lasting results by integrating the head and the heart. And I thought for the people who are here, I would just demonstrate that quickly, because this is something we add to the end of the EFT sequence. For people who know EFT, there are a set of actual points you tap on, just on the body, very, very simply, like that. And so, and we'll actually demonstrate it so you'll see it more clearly. The reset process, which we add at the end of the sequence, it's a different tapping, which it's like you want to reach both sides of the brain. So you're integrating the brain, you're calling attention to the brain, like, pay attention to this, like, okay, here we are. So you take maybe one nice breath, and still focusing on whatever the issue is or whatever you're wanting to address. And you might actually feel a release. And if you're energetically sensitive, you might even sense you need to do more than one breath. And then you do the same thing right around your thymus gland, in the area of the heart. Again, you want to be it's kind of like almost like a hummingbird. I see it like a fluttering. You're not hitting yourself hard, you're just kind of fluttering there. And this is integrating it with the heart, which is the part that makes it last. So you do one breath there. And sometimes I'll just do it. We do it. You can reset, have an idea you want to reset something during the day, and just do that process while you focus on something. I use it actually pretty often myself. There are different things that I use it for, and have found it to be pretty effective as a reset. Actually, if you just pay more attention, like if you're feeling stressed and you just breathe and relax and do the reset, that probably would make a difference.
Right.
So that's just an example. As Philip mentioned, we've had a lot of training in a lot of different areas, and so we integrated a lot of that, which we'll talk about here too. And then our work has continued to evolve over the years, and it's been now, since we learned EFT, actually more than 20 years, which is pretty interesting in itself. So we actually have included all of our new discoveries in with it too. So that's the first one. Then we can pinpoint issues quickly with the getting through techniques, and we'll talk about these more specifically. These are techniques that we have created and designed, which incorporate additional skills from hypnotherapy, energy healing, spiritual healing, NLP, body talk, many things that we've learned to help people to go deeper and increase their awareness, which improves the results and also helps people. It's not just like, okay, so the intensity is gone. It's also like, okay, so what's going to happen now? So in other words, what's different after this? Because you need to have a plan for going ahead. So we incorporate that. Of course, as mentioned, experience deep lasting results. That's a real focus for us. And also doing it as quickly and easily as possible. We've found a lot of people feel like you need to go through all sorts of torture and pain, and that's not what we're about at all. We're about finding the fastest, easiest, and most enlightening ways to do things. And so that's our focus. And then, of course, also grow in skills and confidence, which is a big thing. With our experience as trainers, we've developed a training program to focus both on learning and on implementing the skills so that you can build confidence. And build within it also a focus on learning to love yourself, learning to appreciate the gifts you have, learning to really value what you're offering, which makes a big difference for people too. And then the last one, access an innovative, versatile, and practical approach that provides new opportunities. And you'll see this in a few moments when we describe the specific techniques we've developed, which is really the best part, is like, oh, what are all the possibilities? And it's kind of like you have all these jewels in your tool chest. So we obviously we love this. We love our work, and we're delighted to be able to offer it.
That reminds me of a story with the pinpointing issues. And when you learn these, people are really astonished at how these mysterious things that are happening to us that are blocking us. We know the life isn't working in some area, but we don't know why. And
right.
EFT with the getting through techniques to go deeper are remarkable. And there was a lady who just finished the EFT training certification course, and she wrote to us that at this time she's in Barcelona, Spain, where there's a lot of the coronavirus going on, and she was breaking up with her boyfriend at the time, and she broke up with her boyfriend, but he couldn't then leave the house because of the coronavirus restrictions, the stay-at-home restrictions there in Spain. So now she's with this person she just broke up with, and she said she was so glad she learned the getting through techniques because she could understand her boyfriend much better, her ex-boyfriend, I guess, and herself in dealing with this rather difficult circumstance. So that's just one of many examples of the kind of things, and I'll mention some more that people have used this for. So we're ready for the next reason people take the training, Jane?
Right, yeah.
Easy access and learning. So this is actually an easy way to train in something very practical and profound, as we've been describing. You learn from home, which today is even more valuable and more practical.
Necessity.
We say no costly or prohibitive travel expenses, and depending on when you're watching this, that's may be true or not even possible. Also, you go at your own rate. You know, some people don't like to have the pressure of a timetable where they have to finish with deadlines and such and meet at certain times. You can finish this course in a month, you can finish it in 6 months. You have up to 2 years to finish it, although as we said, it's about a 4 to 12 week, going a few hours a week course. And you can always get an extension in the unlikely case that it takes you, for some reason, you have a delay or something comes up. You can go as deep and as far as you wish to go. By that we mean the material has a lot of depth to it, and just learning the basics will help you go pretty deep from the start. And if you want to really study and practice, that's the way we usually do, because we Jane and I like to go for mastery, as you might imagine, and many of you might. You want to just really practice as much as you can. And as I mentioned, we have that big website, gettingthrough.org/holistic. So we have EFT level 1, EFT level 2, EFT level 3. Level 2 is on more physical issues, although level 1 is 2. In other words, death, dying, grieving, stress, weight loss, and such. Level 3, and they can be taken in any order, level 2 or 3. Level 3 is on manifestation. And there's a whole bunch of new techniques and new getting through techniques and new innovations that fit into level 2 and 3. We have 4 other home studies on spiritual kinesiology and intuition and more. We have a live holistic coaching and healing training. Many times people take multiple courses, and you may be too if you want to go further into it, or you may just want to take one, but there's a lot out there, and after you take one you can decide.
Right. Yeah, you can customize.
Yeah, and you can also talk to us directly, and and mentoring comes with it, or just set up a complimentary session and say, hey, where would I go next, what would make sense for me, and we'll help you. And you also receive lifetime access to the materials, so it's something you can keep returning to. And since as I said, we started this in 2004, so sometimes people years ago are coming back to us for a variety of reasons of returning to the course or going on and so forth, because it's something that is a lifelong tool and investment, really. Jane, anything more on easy access and learning for this course, the reason why people take it?
No, sounds good to me.
Yeah, so there's the quality of it and the ease of doing it, and that takes us to what you're going to learn.
Right, which is a lot. And of course, you start with how to incorporate the EFT basics with holistic EFT. And one of the books that students receive describes all of the EFT basics, history, terminology, and etc. So you have a firm foundation on EFT. And then our holistic approach builds on the basics very organically, as you'll see. And we have also a holistic EFT level 1 manual that students receive that goes more into that part of it. The second one there is why understanding a holistic approach is so important for amplifying results. It really makes a lot of sense when you realize, as most of us do, that everything is connected and everything has meaning, that a holistic approach would be pretty powerful. And so we highlight this as an example. We have a process in the EFT course called the holistic process, or the 4 levels of healing, where we actually go specifically into each level with a client. And it's really wonderful. You do a before and after on the body, emotions, mind, and spirit. And that goes deeper and deeper energetically. All of those are different aspects of the person, and they are unique. So, and once you understand that, it's a wonderful thing, because in everything you're doing with a client, then you can get a better sense of where they are. When they're talking to you, you can understand more about you could say where they're coming from. And personally, here's an example. And many times things happen and you don't know what it's about. I remember one time I had a sore throat, and I kind of ignored it for a while. And then after a couple of weeks, I thought, well, it's not going away, so I'll try the holistic process. So I went through all the levels. I had no idea what it was about. And in doing that, I realized that it was, my throat was sore, and this is your throat, holistically, everything being connected. This is about your expression. And the problem I was having was with a person who I was connecting with. She was actually a trainer that was working with a Philippine and me, teaching us some of the things that we've learned. And she wanted, as can happen, and this is something we don't do, by the way, she wanted to control us. She wanted to have power over us and to tell us what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, as if we can't know for ourselves. And if you know us, part of our whole approach is understanding that the truth is within and helping people to connect with their own truth, not our truth. So I realized that I was having a problem because of this. She was trying to control me. And of course, when you have a relationship like that, it's painful to have to let go of it. But I realized I had to let go of it to be able to occupy my own space, because
Right.
she wouldn't allow that in our relationship. And once I realized it and got through the holistic process, by the end of the process, the sore throat was gone. And I had a better understanding of what I needed to do to live my life more fully. I really
Right.
needed to not have someone connected with me who wanted to control me.
Right.
So that's just one example of it. And as you can imagine, I can't imagine being without that technique.
Oh, no.
I just used it recently again on something connected with what we're going through now, where I was having some physical problems and I didn't understand at all what it was about. And it was a similar thing. And of course, clients are surprised and really love it too. People like to understand things better.
They do.
There's so much going on in our lives that we really don't know what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just a wonderful thing.
The holistic process, the 4 levels of healing, is invaluable. We highly recommend learning that. It sometimes will actually work with physical things and heal them or relieve
like
them.
my sore throat, right?
Right. It's not a substitute for medical treatment, and that's a disclaimer that we have and you'd want to have. But if you want to help people and yourself physically now and for the rest of your life, this is a tremendous tool to have in your toolkit.
Right. And that's just one of the techniques. So the next the next item on the bulleted list is how to use kinesiology with EFT. And there is in basic EFT something called psychological reversal, which is where your energy is is not functioning properly because, and it's for this very reason, what I was actually saying with the holistic technique, this is another approach to it, where you can test with kinesiology to get a sense of what's happening and then address it that way. So there are different options. And then the next one is ways to add our getting through techniques to quickly identify and shift core issues. We'll be talking more about specifically what those are. And they, as I mentioned, they work really harmoniously with EFT, and they take clients deeper in ways that they really enjoy. And for us, I mean, for each of us, again, you have all these techniques you can use just for your own life for the rest of your life, and I can't imagine being without them. It really, again, when we get into those deeper techniques, it points to the fact that our a lot of our awareness is unconscious. If you have studied that, and I'm sure many of you have, in some cases, it's estimated to be about 95% of what a person is doing. They have no idea why they're doing it.
Right.
And it so it makes sense that people will improve more readily when they can understand what makes them tick. And if you can do it in a non-judgmental way that helps people at the same time to understand how wonderful they are. We're wonderful spiritual beings who are here for a reason, each of us with unique gifts to offer. And it is a misunderstanding of this that is the basic problem. So if you can incorporate all of that, it's something that people really enjoy.
Right.
It's not like you're taking medicine like, oh, I have to go deeper, it's going to be painful. It's really enlightening.
Right.
And of course, healing our limited perceptions of ourselves is the ultimate goal. That's what personal and spiritual growth is about.
Right. I have a couple other testimonials or just reports. As we said, we get a lot of input about how well this works. And it's very touching. It's very emotional. Here's one person that said that it helped her with a person who took the course. This is a person who actually went through the whole course reporting this. Helped her with dental surgery. And a lot of people talk about coming to the dentist and helping them. So it's either helping you personally or people you know, or both. Also, then she helped her mother in her mid-70s who had sprained her ankle and was in the hospital, helped her with her pain and reduced it. And here's one that's even sort of more dramatic. Another report of a person finishing the EFT, holistic EFT certification course. She said, I've noted a reawakening in myself.
Yeah.
A nice way of saying it. I've cleared a lot of old negative programming. And some people, either now or at a certain period in life, have just a pile of stuff happening to you. And maybe you're in that position or you're helping people. And here's an example.
There's a pile of stuff happening to all of us right now.
Yes. Yeah. For all of the whole world's in a pile of stuff.
Right.
In this lady's case, the graduate of the course she wrote, she was dealing with her mother's Alzheimer, a dysfunctional family, a brother who had died of brain cancer, and a lot of grief and loss. And she found a way of moving forward on her life path in a very positive way, she writes. And she also recognized how she had been sabotaging her happiness for a long time. while refusing to take risks and trying new things. So, Jane, should we go on to the next, what people are going to learn?
Well, the last thing on that
the
list that I have is the power of imagery with the reality shift. We're going to demonstrate that technique today, and this one is really amazing. What it does is it demonstrates the meaning of the phrase, "A picture is worth 1,000 words," where you incorporate imagery into the basic holistic EFT. In a way that's creative, fun, and enlightening. One way to look at it is, if you can be in one reality where things aren't working so well, you can actually also be in another reality where things are much different. And so we go through the process, and generally with a person will, in terms of an image, work with a symbol, or more frequently with an inner landscape. And it tells a story.
Right.
Which is, and people just love it. So we'll be demonstrating that.
Right. Yeah, so that goes on to the next set of things that you're going to learn. You'll learn a lot.
As you can see.
And I'll go over some of this, maybe some of it rather quickly. How to avoid the pitfalls of ineffective tapping scripts. What are tapping scripts? They have a purpose. That's like the person who's saying, here's your issue, and they give you the affirmation. In EFT, use an affirmation, the classic one: even though I have this quote problem, I love and accept myself. And there's many variations on that which we teach, and you can use that are more targeted or relevant, or giving you a toolbox. But anyways, what the person does is it sort of imposes their idea of what the issue is based on their best guess, which can be a good teaching tool if people don't know how to do EFT. The problem is doing it with people, we found, and Gary Craig agrees, is disempowering. If you're giving the person the scripts, like, you now say this, say, even though I'm sad, I love and accept myself. And the person's saying, I'm not really sad, I'm disappointed. But you're telling them to say sad, and now you're tapping on sad. So you're creating a lack of rapport. That's not good for communication or healing. And you're actually missing the target, and actually kind of creating a disruption there. So what we do is, in the holistic EFT, we show you how to set up very crafted, targeted, lock and key holistic phrases that match the client and the language, so it's harmonious and really goes deeply into what you're addressing, because the words can be something that are extremely targeted, or mismatch, actually don't seem to quite work, or work less well.
Right. And I wanted to add just a little. Our approach, we don't use tapping scripts, and we're not saying not to ever use them because they can be effective potentially. It's not our approach personally. And what we really like to do with the tapping, because we started when it started pretty much back in the 90s, is just do the quick and easy kind of, you tap through the points approach, and it generally works. And with the addition of the added awareness, it seems like that's the most important thing, is to add whatever awareness is required for the person to make a breakthrough, which is kind of the goal here. So it's actually, we have a pretty straightforward approach to it.
Right.
To the tapping itself.
Yeah, and we realize that many people do the tapping scripts approach, and some people do get good results. We've just found this to be more effective and holistic, and people really like the results. It's natural, it's organic, and it seems to be in harmony with people at a deeper level, rather than more external symptoms. And also, it doesn't put you in the guru that I'm kind of healing you, or I know what to say that's going to heal you type of approach. It's more empowering for the client or the person getting healed. Like, this is what, because you're often learning something going through this. So you want the person, if the person's feeling disappointed and not sad, and you're telling the person, say sad, they're trying to learn about disappointment, not sadness. There's a difference there.
Right.
Which brings us to the next learning, or one of the many things you'll learn, which is the different parts of yourself. So there may be a part that's sad, there may be a part that's angry, and you can work with these different parts, and you can go quite deep that way. And we mentioned psychological reversal. There's sabotaging beliefs that some of these parts that you have, that even though part of you wants to heal, well, you have a problem, so part of you is keeping it for some ulterior reason that you can discover. You can develop rapport. And there are ways to connect with people better. There are skills that you can have, communication skills that will help you heal and connect with people. And also you'll learn in this holistic EFT online course, and this is just level 1, it goes further in level 2 and 3 too, but you'll learn a lot about stress, working with EFT with stress, performance, weight, relationships, and much more. Jane, did you want to add anything there?
No, no.
Okay, so let's move on to what the course actually includes, what you'll get when you receive the course, which can either be online, which everyone gets an online copy where it all comes immediately, and or they're hard copy materials of the book and audios and videos on flash drive now. Jane?
Yeah, so you get a guidebook, and because we're trainers, we outline pretty clearly step by step what you need to do to complete the training. And so it's all in there, along with practice forms, so you can log your practice hours and the completion exam. And some people say a test, you know, and it's an open book test. Really, the purpose of, I think, above all, the purpose is we point out things that we want to make sure you're aware of. And if you don't know the answer, then you can go back to all the materials to find it.
It's very easy to follow and easy to find.
Right, right. Then the Getting Through to Your Emotions book, which Philip was just talking about, it has a whole lot of information, all the basics, you know, about EFT, and then more using it with specific issues. Then we also, because that was the original book that we had, we also have created a holistic EFT level 1 manual, which is another whole book about holistic EFT with our most recent techniques in it. Then there are 9 videos that we're going to describe to you that go through really the techniques so you can see them in action. And we have also with them commentary on key points that will help you to improve your skills. Just little things you might not notice, but we find to be very important.
Yeah, those are things that you might not ever get on your own, but someone who has a lot of experience like we do can offer little subtleties, and that can make the difference between just sort of knowing EFT, being maybe somewhat good at holistic EFT, and becoming very good and very competent and masterful at these techniques.
Right, right. And then for graduates who, as it mentions, they're after completing 2 certification courses of the online certification courses, we have a free listing of your services on the International Association of Holistic Practitioners website, where you also receive marketing information and much more. So there's a lot there to look forward to if you want to go further with it.
Right. So that takes us to the updated holistic EFT videos, the ones with the commentaries we mentioned for mastery. And we originally did these videos around, actually many years ago now, 2000, and they're very good, and they're still in the resource section because they work, but they're rather old just in terms of when they were done. But the content of them, and they were professionally done, is excellent. So we've kept them there, but we did quite recently 9 new videos with these commentaries. We'll just briefly tell you about each one. Some of them we've already mentioned a little bit. Jane?
Right, and this is the first that was before we actually had mastered our whole holistic EFT process, and we're a little younger at the time. It's interesting.
We look a lot younger in those videos.
We do. But I think actually it's interesting. The newer ones I think go deeper. So and there are, I think each of them to me is, well, every situation I think is fascinating, and to find out what's going to happen. You know, it's like, ooh. I can't wait to find out what's going to happen. So the first one is basic holistic EFT, which is what I showed you with the reset process. And then the second one is the reality shift with EFT, which we're going to demonstrate here and with the use of imagery. And imagery is really magical. If you look at energetically, if you understand how the energy field works, imagery, if you're working with imagery, within the image are the emotions, all of everything is there. The belief systems, the perceptions of oneself. So in body, emotions, mind, and spirit, it's all built, all the stuff you need to know is built right into the image. So it's kind of like in a way, a shortcut for getting through to everything. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, the image tells a story. And you're going to transform, the image will transform as a person clears, which is magical in itself. So there's that one. Then there's reframing with EFT. And reframing, if you think of healing, really any healing process is reframing, which is essentially perceiving something differently. So we have that process. And then the breakthrough process with EFT, which is that is a process that has imagery too, which is for people who want to have a breakthrough in any area. It can be health, wealth, career, weight issues. That's actually where we started, when we first started using it, was with weight issues. A person who wants to make a breakthrough to a different weight. So it's another version of reality shift, but it's a guided visualization that does go somewhat differently. And again, people really enjoy that. It's a journey, kind of a little journey that people go through.
And so did you mention the levels of PR, Jane?
Oh, and then the levels of PR, which I discussed a little bit before, that psychological reversal. It's another way using kinesiology to identify what's blocking a person and then how to clear that. So what, again, it's for someone who's missing awareness. Like it might be not believing it's possible for you to heal, or not actually wanting to. There are cases where people actually don't want to clear things on some level.
Right.
Or they think, you might think it won't be safe. Like people who maybe are protecting their hearts. This is a very common thing, and it's so important to clear the heart, because that's where really our truth comes through. And love, which is a really good thing. Love, we particularly are focused on that. So if you don't think it would be safe, for instance, a person who has been abused, which is, and this is common with women, they'll protect their hearts to protect themselves. So they might not consider it to be safe. So there are a lot of different things that can be happening, and this helps to identify them. Right.
And a few more, there are quite a few videos, so there's a lot to study here. And some of them, you may pick and choose the ones that you really go into, and you may want to go into them all.
Right.
But so you have some freedom there, some of how you put your energy, but they're all quite practical and valuable, and pretty much easy to understand and apply, especially with the commentaries and the videos. So we have the Miracle Reframe with EFT, one of our more well-known processes, this mantra, anything is possible and miracles are happening now. It's a special EFT ending to the EFT affirmation phrase, which seems to open up some amazing possibilities, and it's quite quick to do, and you can apply it to many different situations or issues.
Can I say one thing about this one?
Go ahead.
And it is really effective. It even is effective with physical issues, which I originally thought, well, maybe it's just not grounded enough, but it actually is. And the thing that I wanted to mention is, one time we do demonstrations of these things in different places, not so much physically anymore as we do on Zoom and things, but we had done a demonstration of the Miracle Reframe with EFT at an event, and a fellow attended it, and he wrote us, actually emailed us a whole year later, and he said that he started using the Miracle Reframe on the things that were happening in his life, and it was completely transformed with just that one technique. And it's very simple actually to do. So that's so wonderful to hear that
Yeah,
when you can really make those kinds of differences in people's lives, it's so heartwarming. And I'm sure
it is.
all of the people here would feel like that's what we want, you know, is to
Right.
be able
And
to
you'll
do
have
that.
those stories of people you help if you study this too,
Right.
which is, yeah, is very gratifying.
Yeah.
And going back to one of the other processes that you learned, we mentioned earlier, the holistic process with EFT, the 4 levels of healing. And quick story, I remember I did a demo of this. Lady started the level, physical level. She had a hurt wrist. The emotional level to it was anxiety. Then I was just asking her a series of these questions, which you can learn. There's some little subtleties to it, of course, with all these things, which is we explain in the commentaries and in the written material. And then what was the belief system? What was she believing? How was she seeing the world? Which was reflecting again in this physical problem. And that was that she felt she was anxious about going out into the workforce. And the more kind of deeper spiritual identity level, the 4th level of healing, is she felt like she was a failure. She felt like she couldn't succeed. So that was just another just quick thing that happens, and there's dozens of these, and you'll get your own stories. Then the unification process with EFT, the different parts I mentioned, we have different parts to harmonize that you can use EFT. So you see the art of EFT, the holistic EFT, is not imposing your idea of what the person needs of with a brilliant affirmation, although there may be a place for that, maybe not in the way we do it, but it's letting the truth come out to this deeper awareness of who we are and our possibilities. It's very beautiful, and to harmonize at a deeper level, to see where we are on our journey and how to go forward and help ourselves and others. And the muscle testing is the testing your muscles. It's basically your body's reaction, often on an unconscious level, to whatever the issue is. It could be an idea, or it could be a person. You know, your mother could make you weak. Even if you love your mother, or your job could make you weak or strong. So all of this, there's these ways of testing, usually pretty readily. There's a lot of ins and outs on how to be effective with muscle testing. We go into that. There's a very good video that you'll learn, and some other material on that. Jane, anything else on the materials there before we, I think, get into our demo?
um, just looking at it, someone might say, well, gee, I'm really overwhelmed with all of this. But what I would say is just take it at your own pace and focus on the things that are of most interest to you. We always
Right.
suggest that. And because our growth and our learning, it's very organic if we approach it that way of just, well, I'm more curious about this one. We'll explore that one and practice that.
Right.
And you may not, by the end, you may not feel like you've mastered all of them and probably won't, because what we've had years and years of practice. You master them more as you go along. So
Right.
just take it easy, make it easy for yourself.
You,
Enjoy it.
you go at your own pace, which is one
Right.
of the benefits, as we said, of doing an online home study independent course.
Right. Exactly.
Certification.
Yeah.
Right. And
Makes it fun.
Jane, wait, there's more. There's more. There's powerful resources, 5 powerful resources that you will receive with this. Individual mentoring sessions. So in other words, if you want some help via email or via a call or Zoom or something, we can help you that way. There's a nice little special report on how to be therapeutic. You see, depending on your background, especially, you may not have been trained on how to work with people. If you haven't been in the field, if you're not a social worker or a psychotherapist, you haven't been trained on, there's certain things to do and not to do when you're working with people, and we explain them very simply and clearly in this special report. And then finding people to practice with. Sometimes people say, how do I find people to practice with? We explain that and give you ideas, which you can also actually leave to clients. A lot of the ideas are same for actually getting paid clients too. And as I said, some people already have a practice. Some people want to start a practice. This is a very useful course for beginning or building or enhancing a practice. In a lot of practices, it could be even your business, your real estate business, your lawyer business, your legal business, whatever, can help with knowing EFT too, as well as more healing, therapeutic, conventional or unconventional, alternative healing, and so forth, and medical things. best learning practice video and tip sheet. A lot of people may not know some of the best ways to learn material. Like, okay, now you have a course.
Right.
It is well designed. It's step by step. It's very easy to learn. But there's just some general learning things which you may or may not know about how to just learn in this course or any course. So that's a valuable little short video and tip sheet to know. We also added some extra bonuses from some other EFT experts, Steve Wall, Brad Yates. You may have heard of. They have some other very good approaches to EFT that can work well for you too. Jane, anything else before we do a demo on the reality shift to show people how this works in live here?
I'm ready for the demo, and we're fortunate, very fortunate to have Sanaz, who is here, Sunny, we call her. And so she's going to do the reality shift with me, or I'm going to do it with her. We're going to do it together.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. So I'm hoping, since we're doing the reality shift, that you have something you would like to shift.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And it's amazing that how it worked. I was first thinking about shifting relationship with my dad, but I have been working on that, which actually comes to the issue I'm going to shift right now. It's relationships. I have been a single mom, it's 11 years now, and I feel like I have some emotional blockage and maybe spiritual blockage, and I need to get out of my way, my own way, and to develop a lasting, committed relationship. So I've had some experience with abusive, verbally, emotionally abusive and distant people that, again, it goes back to how my dad treated me. And finally, I met this gentleman who also, I think he's pushing away. We have some same wounds. And I met him about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. We broke up once, and we have this amazing heart and soul connection. So I can definitely feel the love, but then ego comes. We broke up, we got together, then we broke up again. We're back together, and this is about 3-4 weeks that we're back together. So what I like to tap on, if possible, is see what is the blockage that I have, and letting go of the worry that, are we going to break up together with each other again? Am I going to be in a committed relationship? And he is open to it, so we're both working on it. But I feel like if I clear my blockage, at least I've done my part.
Right. And it's interesting, that can change things for the whole kind of dynamics of a relationship, although there might be a need for something on the other side too. And with a relationship, one thing I think it's really important to understand is you can't change anything else. And I know Sunny realizes that she has to do her part. That's all she can do. If a client comes to you and they're wanting to change, like, I need to change my husband, well, you can't really change him. He has to want to change himself.
Darn it.
You can change, right? Right. I remember, well, we've had really a lot of different experiences with that one. But anyhow, that's just a really important point with relationships. Right. If a person asks you to change somebody else, that's not what we do here. And so, Sunny, if you focus on that current relationship and your fear of, the kind of the on-off that it might not last again, what do you feel emotionally?
I feel worried, a little bit of anxiety, because I don't want to go through the pain of breakup again, and it's painful because we have a very strong connection.
Anything else that seems to?
And then when I feel like if it would happen, I'll feel sad.
Okay. And when you focus on that worry and anxiety, where do you notice it in your body?
In my solar plexus and my heart area.
And this is something we often ask people because where things are is important. And if you understand the different, like the energy system, which we also cover in our courses, then you can understand really a little more when people tell you what's happening in different places. And what do you experience in those areas?
I feel constriction, a little tightness in my heart, constriction in my solar plexus.
How tight is it in your heart on a scale of 1 to 10?
7.
And the constriction in your solar plexus?
9.
Okay. And the worry, how strong is the worry?
The worry is 7.
Okay. And anxiety, you mentioned a little anxiety about possibly breaking up.
7 as well.
Okay. Okay, so kind of right in that range with everything. Anything else you'd want to mention that you notice before we'll go on now to the image next?
No. The reason the numbers are not really high as I anticipated is I feel like he's working on himself too. And I
that's good.
Yes.
That's wonderful. That helps. Okay, so then just if you focus on those things, feeling that worry and anxiety and the sensations in your body, and you were to imagine your inner world, how that would look as a landscape in that situation, what does the image look like?
I am standing in the middle of a desert. There's no water, there's no trees, nothing. And I'm confused and scared and worried. I'm afraid it's going to be what is going to happen.
And in that landscape, what does the sky look like?
It's cloudy and it's just very strange. And I see lightning and a thunder, but no rain. Just an angry sky.
Interesting. Angry. And I write down a lot of what people tell me because I want to have that available for before and after. I think it's also important to use their words. So I want to have her words as she says it, not as I would say it. So Sunny, then in that landscape, are there any sounds that you notice?
I notice sand dune, and behind it I hear a roaring of a lion.
Interesting. Any smells or scents in the air?
Just the smell of the wind.
How does the wind smell?
It has some sand in it, so it's not pleasant.
Right. Anything else you notice with your senses?
I'm sweating. And my heart have palpitation. And my hands and feet are really hot. I'm scared.
Anything else?
I hear somebody's coming, approaching me from behind, and I don't dare to look back to see, but I feel like it's my boyfriend.
Why don't you dare look back?
Because I don't want to take my eyes off of the possible lion that could be behind the sand dune.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Okay, so does that feel complete with the image?
Yes.
Okay, so from there then, do you feel like you're ready for some tapping?
Yes.
Okay, good. So with the reality shift, we start with an affirmation, and in the case of the reality shift, it's even though I have this blank, so she could say anxiety, worry, and you'll do it 3 times so you can say whatever comes foremost into your mind. Even though I have this blank, I know my reality can shift. So does that sound good?
Yes.
And of course, you want your client to say them aloud with conviction. And tap on the side of the hand at the same time. So you can start, even though I have this.
Even though I have this.
You can just choose worry, anxiety, whatever comes to the fore there.
Even though I have this worry that the relationship may not work,
I know my reality can shift.
I know my reality can shift.
Even though
I have this worry that my relationship may not work, I know my reality can shift.
One more time, even though I know.
Even though
I have, I'm sorry.
Even though I have this worry that my relationship may not work, I know that my reality can shift.
Okay, thank you. And then tapping, and you can tap along. Those who are watching this, actually just tapping without even focusing on anything feels good. So you're tapping lightly 5 to 10 times, first on the top of the head. Then so focusing on this worry and anxiety. Then inside of the eyebrow, worry and anxiety.
This worry and anxiety.
Side of the eye, worry and anxiety.
Worry and anxiety.
Below the eye, worry and anxiety.
This worry and anxiety.
Below the nose, worry and anxiety.
This worry and anxiety.
Chin, worry, anxiety.
This worry and anxiety.
Then your collarbone right here towards the middle, worry and anxiety.
This worry and anxiety.
Then the side of the body, kind of like a hug. And we do both sides. People say you can do one or both. I tend to think both because it covers both sides of the body.
This worry and anxiety.
And then the reset process. So just taking a nice big breath. And then right around the heart there, another beautiful breath. And opening to that love in the heart. And then so you can take another couple nice breaths, just allowing the energy to settle. And when you're ready, let us know what you're noticing now.
And the landscape?
Whatever you're noticing, whatever comes to mind.
Well, I am back in the landscape and I'm not sweating anymore. And the sky is, actually I can see the blue skies.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a little kitten coming out of the sand dune. I thought it was a lion. And the little cat comes and gives me love, and I pick up the cat and I turn around and I see my boyfriend and his eyes are filled with love. And I just hold him and kiss him.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of look at each other and telling each other, let's not run away anymore.
Wonderful. And if you broaden your perspective, what's the rest of the landscape like now? Before it was very dry, no water, no trees.
Now we start walking, and right past the dune, I see a beautiful field of flowers.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't even know it was there because I didn't dare to go any further.
Right. And how does that smell in the field of flowers?
Beautiful. And beyond that is the ocean.
And what do you notice about the ocean?
Well, we start running and just going in the ocean, start swimming.
How is
And
that?
it's amazing. It feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's very refreshing, liberating, and I feel my heart open and hopeful, and I feel like I need to take a step forward and not stand where I am because of the fear and worry.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And what's happening is her wisdom is coming through. So she's reconnected with the truth in her heart, the truth of who she is and what her potential is. And now her reality has completely changed. So if we go back then and measure the worry, how is that now?
Actually, it's 0 or 1,
Mm-hmm.
even that.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And the anxiety?
It's same, 0.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, the constriction in your solar plexus?
I feel there's no constriction, and I feel like it's starting to expand.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the power coming in.
Wonderful. And your heart?
And my heart's open,
Mm-hmm.
expanded as well,
Mm-hmm.
filled with love and gratitude.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. So if you imagine just sending all of that love and that beautiful energy out into the future, how does that look in your relationship?
It feels hopeful. It feels like this is the third time we meet again, and 3 is a holy number, so it's a number of completion. We can do it.
Mm-hmm. Anything else that you want to mention about that? Or does that feel complete?
That feels complete.
Sounds complete. And that's beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for that,
Thank
for
you.
volunteering.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's the reality shift. And just out of curiosity, Sunny, how did you find that with the imagery and everything?
I loved it. I love imagery, and I feel like because I feel like if we believe what we see and allow ourselves to be like a kid, and that really totally transforms. It's very transformative.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And I love the tapping in the middle. It's just like that really gave it the holistic approach to it rather than just being in the mind and tapping.
Mm-hmm.
We can take our soul in that imagery and we tap. Not only it's affecting our mind, it felt like it affected my soul and the soul level really deep.
Right. Well, it certainly sounded that way. And I love that thing, the lion turned into a kitten.
I was surprised.
But there's so many things that are significant, in the way that we perceive them. And then that's one thing we have this, in actually the EFT level 3 course, we have something we call the fear monster reframe. And that's the way it is. Our fears, we think that they're these big things that have power over us. And then we realize, that they're actually these little things that we can easily handle in some way. And in that case, then it was actually something that became something to love and cherish.
Yeah.
So that was beautiful.
So fear was transformed to love.
Right. Right. And that was so beautifully done too on your part. It's a story.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes, I think that going through that process in that way makes it more memorable too for you than just doing a little tapping and say, well, it's, the anxiety's gone now. It's kind of like, well, there's so much more.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of dimension to it. There's a lot of depth. So that's reframing at a deeper level, shifting.
Right. Yeah, and it is what we're looking for is the soul's wisdom to come through. When the intensity is gone, the soul's wisdom comes through. And so that was the guidance that Sunny received. And I didn't give her any guidance. I don't need to. And in some cases I might, there might be something that I would say about it, but I want primarily for her to come to a different understanding herself.
Right.
And she's a beautiful spiritual woman. You know,
Right.
why wouldn't she have that? I don't want to try to interject like, oh, you don't have to have that. It's kind of like, and people know it too. You don't have to have that anxiety.
There's nothing to be anxious about.
Right.
And so again, Jane used Sunny's words, being a good listener, not trying to suggest something or just come up with like a very clever or inventive description of things. Just follow Sunny in this case and just let it transform. Trust the processes. Processes we know work because they work at a deeper level.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, great.
Thank you so much.
Great example.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
So we are getting closing here. I'll just mention the holistic EFT works, as we mentioned, a lot for health issues and relationship issues, like the one that we just demoed there with Sunny on Reality Shift. And sometimes the relationships are people in your family who have health issues, like I mentioned that testimony earlier where the mother has Alzheimer's and the brother's dying of cancer and so forth, and that's relationships on a certain level. And then there's just people who you're close to in your family, or romantic relationships, or men and women relationships. Here's another one that I got that was a report from someone who had completed the holistic EFT training, the course we're describing here, the certification. And she said, the techniques have helped me to deal constructively with my own worries. When my younger son, who lived abroad, had problems with depression, he's okay now. Right now, I'm going through a divorce, and the EFT and GTT, getting through techniques like Reality Shift, really helped me deal with the situation in a calmer and more constructive way than I would have done before, coming from the heart instead of being reactive or anxious about the future. It is, of course, not easy, but I'm confident that I can deal with it and that in the long run, it will be okay. And I'll kind of conclude here maybe with just one more testimony. And there are many of them on the page that describes the course, the Holistic EFT course, from John Fiore. Some of you may know him. He has a successful business, a lot of it online, a great person, anxiety and sports performance coach. And he took some of our other trainings as well. And he said, compared to other trainings, this holistic EFT training puts it all together, clarifying and advancing what I have learned over the years. It showed me how to have deeper healing. Without this training, I would have missed so much. I'm also getting great feedback from my clients now. And John had actually taken another EFT certification with another organization before ours. Jane, did you want to say anything else? We're just about at closing time here.
Just follow your heart.
Yeah, right.
You know, that's really what it's all about. And feel good. Feel good about what you're doing and about yourself. You deserve that.
You do.
Yes, Sunny wanted to say something.
Yes, I just wanted to, for the participants that are here, I just wanted to say that, Philip and Jane are just God sent. They're just so amazing. And the way I found them, and they didn't know I was going to talk about this, but the way I found them is complete synchronicity. I looked up holistic life coach one day, and they just popped up, and my life has changed ever since I started taking their class. So, and the people who are in the class, they're like family. It's just amazing. I can't even put in words, because the experience is just so amazing that unless you experience it, you know, it's hard to put in words how wonderful it is. So thank you. I really, really recommend, these two amazing, beautiful souls are just, they've really made a huge difference, not only on what I do with people. I do grief support and end of life care, but personally in my life. And as I heal myself, I can become a better healer.
Right.
I just wanted to share that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Sunny.
Thanks, Sunny. And she's referring to our live Coach Healer weekly training, which she's in. And some people take that in addition to this online EFT home study independent course, and they work together. And thanks for those nice words. So this was an introduction to the Holistic EFT online certification course with us, Philip and Jane Mountrose. And if it seems like something you'd want to do, we encourage you to do it. I think you'll really enjoy it. It'll be a very rewarding, affordable, convenient, easy to learn, in-depth, proven program.